Welcome back to Perfectly Imperfect, and here are 5 reasons you're not getting a loose lead while walking. Top of the list, let's start off by saying that muscle actually meets muscle, and this is something a lot of owners don't actually think about or consider while they're walking their dog. For example, if you are pulling back quite a lot, your dog can feel you down the lead, therefore he or she does not need to see where you are. Dogs actually have a opposition reflex. Now what this means, if you pull them in a certain direction, their instinct and their reflex automatically pulls against it. You can actually try this yourself right now. Ask your dog to sit while on lead, stand behind him so he can't actually see where you are or what you're doing, and just with one finger, put a slight amount of pressure on the lead and watch your dog's shoulders. You will notice as you pull him back, his shoulders actually push forward. So the best fix for this, or the best way to handle this, is to try and provide or offer a loose lead. Now I know what you're thinking. How can you give a loose lead to a dog who's constantly pulling? And we're going to touch upon that with number 2 on my list. But overall, just remember, muscle meets muscle. The more you pull back, the more he or she pulls forward. So the main thing to ask yourself is, how do we change the situation, or how do we change this scenario so we are not in a constant battle? Number 2 on my list, rewarding the wrong behaviours. Now bear with me here for a second because it can get a little tricky to explain, but I like to explain it as, if we actually look at the nature of the relationship between dog and human, it comes down to things along the lines of sit, I give you something, lay down, I give you something. In other words, we are saying, you give me this first, and in return, I will give you this. Now, why will the dog sit for a treat? Because it's something that he or she wants. Now, again, breaking that down, that means that anything they want, they are used to our relationship, showing them that they can use it as a treat or reward basis. Which also means, if your dog would like the lead, or if your dog would like to go for the walk, then you can actually turn that into the reward. If your dog is bouncing up and down, jumping around, barking, going crazy, and then you still hook the lead on, unfortunately you have just rewarded overexcitement instead of rewarding calm. Now again, you might ask yourself, but how do we get them to calm down? That unfortunately comes down to time and a lot of practice. See, every time you decide we're going for a walk and you need to get out of the house within the next 5 minutes, you are accidentally sharing that information with your dog. Instead, try to prep a bit sooner and give your dog 10 minutes or 15-minute leeway to actually begin to calm down and allow you to get the message in. And same while actually on the walk, again, if your dog drags you to a bush, or if your dog drags you to a lamppost, or if your dog drags you to another dog and gets to sniff the bush, the lamppost or the dog, they have unfortunately just self-rewarded by defeating mum or dad holding the lead and getting to the object of their desire. That pull has now become worth it. So the best thing to do here, whenever you feel that your dog is trying to get somewhere, first things first is check there's a loose lead. If there's not, 180 turn and walk away. Walk about 10 feet, turn back and start walking towards the object again. Ideally, you're trying to refocus and recreate memories that walking to heel gets you everything you want, pulling gets you moved away. And of course, once there is a loose lead, take the dog to the bush, the lamppost or the other dog, assuming the other dog is friendly of course. Thank you for watching the video so far. If you're enjoying it or finding it helpful, maybe consider subscribing and maybe giving a thumbs up. But let's carry on with number 3. Number 3 is quite a common one, and it's very simply put, overstimulated. If you and your dog are in a new location and there are walls, grass, trees, dogs, cats, birds, all of this information is going into your dog simultaneously at the same time. Now, to ask for you to stand out in a very large crowd is actually quite difficult if a dog is being overstimulated. How do we keep stimulation down? We can build it up step by step, and we can try and monitor how our dog is feeling, level of excitement, before actually entering the main area. So for example, if let's say you're going onto a field but the field is gated off, again you can try to read how your dog is feeling building up to the gate. If you allow your dog to drag you through the gate, then you've already entered the field overstimulated. So it's best to practice at the gate for 5-10 minutes if you can. Then once you are actually in the field, you can then practice another section. I know you may be thinking, but hold on, this is a lot of work and a lot of training and not very much walking. Well, your dog is taking in information 24/7. The best thing you can do is pick and choose some of the information that he or she is going to be receiving. And training for dogs can be very enjoyable and a much preferred one-to-one time than just doing what they want when they want, so to speak. So try to not think of training as work and think of it more as your actual one-to-one time. Kind of like taking your children to Disneyland. Supervising your children can be quite hard work, but we don't see it as hard work. We see it as we're spending time with them. It's that sort of mentality that we need to now transfer onto dog training and make sure that while we're doing dog training, on lead, off lead, playing with a ball or not playing with a ball, how can we bring stimulation from us and training into our daily routines. Number 4 on my list, and probably a kind of obvious one, however it is something, at least in the UK, I run into quite a lot. If your dog is only walked once every couple of days or once a week, or hopefully not, but once every couple of weeks, then of course when he or she finally gets out of the house, you are going to see a dog pulling like a train. Because they're so desperate to get new stimulation, or they're so desperate to burn off some physical energy. Now, the thing to remember, we see shelves, plants, photos, pictures, TVs on the walls and decoration with wallpaper. Dogs, however, see 4 white walls. Now, if they are stuck in 4 white walls for 24 hours at a time, with only sleeping in between and a few garden bricks, they're going to naturally build up some frustrations. Dogs are actually big exploring creatures. There are 1 or 2 who of course would love to stay home and be on the sofa. But as a majority, you can pretty much say that dogs are going to want to explore. They're going to want to go and sniff to get stimulation, maybe even greet a few more people or greet a few more dogs. They love to be social. So leaving a dog locked up in a house for multiple days at a time will build a lot of frustration, which the frustrations will then lead to you experiencing bad behaviours. And finally, number 5 on my list. Your dog never truly learnt where heel was. Now bear with me for a second. If I kept repeating one word to you in Chinese, Japanese, German, the more I say it to you, does that mean you're actually going to be learning it and understanding what this means 2,000 words down the line? Or are you just going to be kind of getting used to the habit or routine of when I do this, Luke starts shouting a word at me? Here is a very important thing. To actually wait and see if your dog can self-correct. Okay, I'm not saying give your dog a correction. I'm not saying yank the lead. I'm not saying any of that. When a dog purposely moves into a certain position, we call that a self-correction. And that basically demonstrates the dog understands what he or she needs to do. Start walking, use your dog's name and say heel. Give a 3-second rule. After the 3-second rule, do not repeat yourself. Do not start arguing and over repeating a word your dog does not understand. Try and figure out how you can change that situation or change that scenario. Okay, so let's say you're walking in a straight line. You say heel, 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to do a 180 turn, because in this direction you wasn't able to understand me or you wasn't able to listen to me. So I'm now going to do a 180 turn and walk the opposite direction. As soon as your dog's head is near your leg, praise. You can offer a treat if you want to, but at the very least you have to praise. And don't just say good boy, good girl and that's the end of it. Say good heel. Now in future, your dog's going to start working for that good heel. Where was I? What was I doing when I got that good heel? 1, you're now providing a little stimulation. 2, you're now doing a slight bit of training. And 3, he's actually beginning to pick up on a specific word, heel. So long term, you will find that he's actually trying to figure out where heel is. And every time he gets praise, he's getting 1 step closer to knowing the exact spot to walk in. Okay guys, so that was 5 reasons you're currently not getting a loose lead. I hope you found the video helpful. I hope you put some of these tips into place. Feel free to comment down below if you have any questions. Maybe consider subscribing if you found this video helpful. And I will catch you next time. Thank you for watching.